if you're not giving strong enough feedback and they're not internalizing it and understanding it, you're not setting up anyone for success.
Welcome back to Beyond the Ping Pong Table. Today, we have an exciting guest and a personal friend of mine. She brings a wealth of experience and insights in the field of HR and nonprofit management. With over 15 years of experience in human resources and more than a decade spent in operations, our guest has a unique perspective on how to blend the best practices of these two domains. Throughout her career, she has worn many hats, having worked in both for-profit and nonprofit sectors. However, for the past 5+ years, her passion has been dedicated to the nonprofit world. Currently serving as the Director of Operations for the Housing Industry Foundation, an organization dedicated to homelessness prevention. Today, she's here to share her invaluable insights on HR strategies, recruiting techniques, and the art of effective onboarding, all within the context of nonprofit organizations. So without further ado, welcome Barbie Csore. And I always feel like I'm saying it wrong, but did I say it right after all these years?
Hi, no, you said it perfectly. I was almost ready to have a conversation on my last name, but you slayed it. Good job.
Oh, good, good. I've known Barbie for 12 years and I still question when I pronounce her last name. So
no, I appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chit chat about all the things that I'm passionate about.
Awesome. Awesome. So we'll just get right started. So until now, our conversations have revolved around the for-profit sector, particularly in highly lucrative tech industries. However, you've carved your niche in the nonprofit world. Could you share the journey that led you to your current position and ignited this passion for the nonprofit sector?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have kind of organically followed my career throughout the years. I didn't always have a plan. I started off, fresh out of college, kind of went into the admin sourcing world for a large recruiting firm. And then I would say I developed into an on-site HR coordinator where you are essentially taking care of the contingent staffing. It was for a medical device company. And then they wanted me to come back to be a recruiter. And I wasn't always in love with the recruiting world, especially 10 years ago. As a lot of people know, the HR world has drastically changed and the organizations have pivoted to what is important. It used to be the organization is first, and now I feel like it's people first, which has always been something I'm passionate about. And really, ultimately, it's about a balance, right? Because the organization is important, but your people are the organization. So I then moved into HRIS and sort of HR data management, and then benefits and benefits and wellness. And then I lived in California for most of my life and decided to take a pivot and go to Nevada because I thought, hey, why not? Let's try something different. I felt a little stagnant personally in my personal life and my career. So when I went to Nevada, I was like, okay, it's either going to be this amazing paying job that like completely changes your life, or it's going to be something that's intrinsically rewarding. And I always thought I want to help people. And then I ended up working for the Nevada Cancer Coalition, which was a statewide nonprofit that focused on essentially cancer advocacy, education, policy. And it really opened up the world of nonprofit to me, and I absolutely loved it. So I fell in there into operations, which kind of in the nonprofit world is a mixture between things like HR, financials, general business operations, event planning. I mean, you wear a lot of hats.
Wear a lot of hats, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually really love that because it's never a dull moment. You get to do the creative things, but then you also get to do the analysis and hard skills. And, I used to joke that one day I'll be out at an event chatting with people, and the next day I would be sitting in a spreadsheet with thousands of data points for, 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I really love that because I feel like it really fits me, who I want to use the left and right side of my brain.
Right.
So when the pandemic hit, I think a lot of people took a pause and thought about what's important in our lives. And for me, I was really missing community. So I actually ended up during the pandemic getting my MBA because I thought, okay, I'm going to be sitting at home by myself. Let's do something productive out of it. And I realized even more that I love managing people. I love helping to manage an organization to make things more efficient. And then I fell into the Housing Industry Foundation since I have moved back, and I've been their director of operations, which basically is head of HR, head of financials, and general operations. That's where I am today.
And for our listeners, could you elaborate on the mission behind the Housing Industry Foundation? This is your moment to kind of brag about your company.
Yeah, I mean, our mission really for the HIF, is what we affectionately call it, is in general about homelessness prevention. The interesting thing about HIF is that we kind of help the missing middle. So we have three main programs. We have the Emergency Housing Fund, the Affordable Housing Initiative, and the Renovations Program. Now, EHF, the Emergency Housing Fund, gives up to $2,500 grants to households. And these grants can be used for rent, security deposit, or utilities. The Affordable Housing Initiative, AHI, is very particular to us. It's a very cool, complex program, is the nice way I say it. But essentially, we help put vital community workers like teachers, healthcare workers, police, EMS, anyone you can imagine that doesn't usually make very high salaries but are very incredibly important, into up to 50% below market rate housing. So there's a lot of in-kind donations that we get from the multifamily housing industry. They donate these apartments at up to 50% below market rate, and then we place these vital community workers up to within 30-minute commute of their jobs. And then lastly, we have our renovation program, which is, it's kind of like the home network, where it's the before and after, where it's really cool. We go and we renovate, vital community facilities like homeless shelters, houses, domestic violence shelters, anything that you can imagine that has to do with homelessness. Essentially, we come in with all our partners, a lot of it done in kind, and we help renovate these facilities that usually have high turnover, unfortunately, but they don't have the funds to help these facilities. So we come in, we help, and it could be as small as curb appeal, and it can be as big as adding more rooms and renovating rooms and essentially giving more housing to people in need. So those are our three main programs, and I'm very, very excited about it. And we currently do just focus on the Santa Clara and San Mateo counties, with hopes to possibly expand in the future.
I want to know what some of the obstacles or advantages are that you've encountered when it comes to recruiting within the nonprofit realm.
I used to have a lovely executive director who told me that hiring a person is like buying a car, and it's a big investment. You have to be diligent in recruiting. You have to pick the right platform. You have to, write the job description correctly. What is this person going to do? Write it clearly. Write it so that they understand. Put in it that they might have to do other things, like that it's not just limited to this. Don't let a job be a shock to a possible candidate.
Transparency, full transparency.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like you can't hide anything by any means. But I do think, at the very beginning, the platform you choose to put, your jobs on it's not always somebody, we're a small organization. So yes, I use, the job engines that are out there. And yeah, we have idealist.org. For all of you who do not know, it is strictly about nonprofits. So let's say
idealist.org, is that?
Idealist.org. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can only find jobs on there that are with a nonprofit.
Okay.
So it is natural that you would assume that for us, posting a job on Idealist is the ideal thing. However, it isn't actually. The last 2 times I've posted job descriptions on there and open job recs, I only had 1 submission.
So what's your favorite platform?
So I actually look for Indeed.
Okay.
So, but you also have to look at the position that you're hiring for. If you're hiring for, at least in my experience, a middle to entry level position, you have to think about what are they going to use when they're looking for their jobs, right? Like as a director of operations, I might be focused on LinkedIn, and I'm not saying that you can't use anything, but I wouldn't necessarily be looking at Indeed. But I know a lot of people that use Indeed, and I've used Indeed in my past life as well. And there are Monster and there's ZipRecruiter and there's all these things, and you have to figure out like, okay, what do I have good luck with? Who's going to see the highest? What volume am I going to see? Traction am I going to get? And I have found, not that I'm publicizing for Indeed, but I have found with this organization, we have done really well when we post opening jobs on Indeed.
Would you recommend to other folks in recruiting to try one or two at a time, or put your listings as many places as possible? What would be your recommendation?
I mean, the more platforms you use, the more platforms you have to manage. So you have to be like, you have to start thinking about like, okay, well, what do if I'm the recruiter, or, how many people if you're a larger organization, obviously you can do more, but I'm one person currently who does the initial, sourcing and recruiting. And you start putting it on too many places, you actually start getting the same people. Like, I don't know the last time you were looking for a job, probably not, but I remember the last time I looked for
about a decade, but yes.
Yeah, it's been a while, but like you start looking because you think, oh, I'm gonna go to this platform, that platform.
Yeah.
And I remember laughing that I was like, sure, there's a little bit of difference, but you start seeing the same things and you're like, why am I wasting my time? Like, pick one or two that you like and go with it, right?
Okay, good. Yeah. I'm all about giving these like tactics that, people can use. Yeah.
Yeah. And if something's not working, then change it. I mean, if you are not getting any resumes, and okay, what is going on? Do you need to pay to bump that, job description up? Do you need to change the job description? Maybe it's, the benefits package, or maybe it's the platform. Like, you have to reflect and see like why something isn't working. And to your organization, I mean, the reality of it is the position that we're hiring for right now, there's a lot of really viable candidates, both specifically in this industry, but also that transfer from other industries and backgrounds. So looking for a program manager. Well, a lot of people can do really great things as a program manager, even if they come from a different background. So Indeed has been something that has worked really well for us. But yeah, I mean, I told one of our directors too, she's like, well, idealist. And I was like, look, I'm gonna put it on Indeed. It's worked really well for us in the past 2 years. If it doesn't keep working well for us, then we'll assess. But you know what? I had 5 interviews within 3 days off of Indeed of viable candidates. So it's working for us, right? And if it works, well, don't break it.
Yeah, don't break it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Could you share any key approaches your organization uses during the onboarding to ensure new team members embrace the company's values and mission?
You have to be high touch when somebody new comes on. They have to have support. They need to spend time, especially in our small organization, they need to spend time with each person, make sure that they understand what our organization is, give them information, and most importantly, don't overwhelm them. Everyone's going to have a learning curve. I don't care how great your background is or how much you have to offer. It's a new organization, and that internal stuff is a learning curve. And you have to give people time to be a sponge and let all that sit in without bombarding them. So I do think you have to have a schedule of, taking in new information, giving them downtime, giving them things they can do on their own, then getting back into
checking in, and they
exactly
move on to the next step.
Exactly. So
okay, cool. So I'm hearing like if they're coming off of a new job, a previous job, giving them a moment to decompress and ease them in, and then really having a plan, and then checking in with them so we're not overwhelming them. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, yes.
I like that. Would you say you have a healthy feedback culture within your organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a learning curve for everyone, and every manager has different styles. I personally believe 1,000% in feedback. You should be constantly telling people how they're doing. And the thing is they're never going to learn if you're not giving feedback, and you can't be afraid to give it. And it doesn't have to be delivered in a harsh way or in a choppy way. Have a dialogue, have support, have, an answer to what they're going to need to change. A lot of times, when people go into a performance review, they should not be shocked, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know, a lot of people have, I know, even I have been surprised in my past life, been like, wow, I didn't even know that was a problem. That should never happen.
Never happened. I learned that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that took from leaving one company and going to another. I was like, wow,
Yes.
this was super positive when it came to my annual review.
I know. It's just like you really have, like, they should never be, you should always know where you are. And
Mhm.
if there is an issue, don't let it sit. Don't let it like fester into something bigger, or don't, pretend like it wasn't a big deal if it was. But you can have those open conversations and feedback, and just strengthen a person's role and then move forward. And same thing of receiving feedback, that this is really just to help you, to help me. And you can't be afraid to give it, because I know, what happens down the line when somebody is not working out, and, they're taken aback, they don't understand
Mhm.
for the last 6 months it hasn't been working out. Well, if you're not giving strong enough feedback and they're not internalizing it and understanding it, you're not setting up anyone for success. So feedback is super vital.
Outside of just like a weekly check-ins or something, are there other tactics that people can use for giving feedback? Or,
Give it in the moment.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's, realize where you are, right? If you're in a meeting with a bunch of people, you don't need to correct somebody in the middle of that meeting, pull them aside after. But I think feedback should come when it's important, like when it's, what's the word I'm looking for?
When it's relevant.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
not
Feedback
after
should
the
come.
fact.
Yes. Feedback
Well,
should
and I
come.
think also kind of like what you said before too, like, making sure as a manager, you are opening yourself up and giving opportunities for your team, right? To give you that feedback as well.
Yeah.
Because that might be a little bit more awkward, right? When you're the subordinate,
Well,
right? Like,
when you start building that rapport with a, team member, and you ask them, what can I be doing better? I've asked one of my guys multiple times, what can I do for you? What do you wish I was doing that I'm not? This, you don't know what you don't know. If I'm missing something that could be vital to the role or to this specific person, then I need that feedback, and you have to be ready to receive it. Right. But sometimes, especially if you're the manager, you have to lead that conversation. And I say it all the time. Is there anything that I'm not doing that you need? How can I help you? And once you do have that trust and that open communication, then I think feedback both ways is going to become much easier.
Absolutely. So, what strategies or approaches have you found to be effective in promoting employee retention within the nonprofit sector?
Employees need to feel valued, whether that be through their benefits package, whether that be through the attentiveness of their direct manager, whether that be through team building and feeling like they're part of the organization and that they're doing vital things. You have to check in with people. Autonomy is great, and people need autonomy, but there's a difference between autonomy and then completely forgetting about somebody. We have one-on-ones. Everyone in our organization, their managers have one-on-ones, but checking in, understanding, hey, what's going on? Hey, do you need more? Hey, do you have too much? Like, are you overloaded? Do you have interest somewhere? Like, these conversations have to be consistent and continual, I think, in helping to retain an employee. And then there's, of course, ensuring that there's a work-life balance. We even started giving the last Friday of every month off. Now, we also say that sometimes stuff is going on, like if you need to do that, work if you need to, but at the same time, no, this is meant, this is meant to let you know that at the end of every month, especially for those days and you maybe work a little bit more than you usually do, that you have a day, kind of a wellness day, a retreat. I mean, I usually work on those days, but I get up and I just do my own thing. And, maybe I'll check my email here and there. Maybe I'll work on a little project that I personally want to do. But I realize that I have that day to do whatever I want. And it's a really nice treat on the outside of just regular holidays, to look forward to each month. And I know that everybody in our organization does. So that's another way another thing that we implemented this year to see, like, how would that help people?
How do you define work-life balance? Or how do you approach work-life balance?
Work-life balance starts at the top. I think it also goes back to culture. You can't say that uh, prioritize and appreciate work-life balance if that's not what you're actually putting out into your organization.
So you guys are a hybrid workplace environment, right? You guys do.
Yes, we
Can you,
are.
can you talk a little bit about the structure and how that works with a team of 6 to 7 people?
Yeah, we have an interesting group actually because we have 5 people in the office, and then we have one that's pretty much 97% in Sacramento. So one almost fully remote, and then we have hybrid. We work Monday, Wednesday, Thursday in the office, and Tuesday, Friday from home. Now we do have a flexible schedule when things come up. Like a lot of the stuff, some of our team members are in the field and with partners and things, so we kind of come and go. It's really important to pick up the phone. It's really important to not get lost in emails. Things can get misinterpreted in emails quickly and in chat boxes. Pick up the phone, put on a Zoom. It's very different when you're looking at somebody on a video. It's still not in person, but it's completely different than, an email.
Right.
So it's really something important. We used to have staff meetings on Mondays, and then we changed them to Tuesdays because Tuesdays are from home, and then we're all equally in a tiny box on a Zoom versus, half of us in person on a Monday with one on a computer. It's
Right.
kind of levels the playing field. We're checking in on a day off. It's not just, when you're in the office, I see you and then I forget about you when you're not. It's like, no, we're a team. We need to work together. We do instill also project days on Fridays where we do try to give each other a little bit space and not, if we don't have to, we don't put meetings on Fridays. As everyone knows, I think in every industry, if you have too many meetings, you're actually taking away from actually working though, right? And so having those Fridays for people to just physically get down to the nitty gritty and work on their jobs is really helpful. It's also really important to, when we are together, that we take that moment. When our gal from Sacramento comes over, sometimes we ensure that we all have lunch together. We have a couple times a year, we'll have some sort of staff development, staff training, but we'll do it together. We'll do it in person. We'll go out, we'll go have fun. You have to make those moments when you are physically together, like a little bit more special. And I sometimes when we're in the office, we're a little bit more chatty, but you know what? That's when those relationships start building.
How do you guys celebrate wins?
I particularly love to give high fives. Just kidding. I mean, not kidding. We have weekly staff meetings where we usually call people out on the work that they're doing. I actually think it's a really good thing to call out positives in front of people. I think, yes, when you're personally in a one-on-one telling somebody that, hey, good job is great as well. But I think when you are letting the team know that this person has gone above and beyond, it's letting the team know that they're putting in the effort, and it's letting them know that everyone recognizes it. We also, give comp days for people who have really gone above and beyond. We'll be like, take that extra half day off or take that day off. Sometimes we'll give little gifts. We'll take people to lunch. I mean, we are a smaller organization, so financially we can only do so much. So we have to look at creative ways of making people feel good. And a lot of times that's like verbal recognition.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you can only give a salary increase usually once a year anyway. So you've got to have other ways to kind of just maintain that energy and that vibe and that and celebrating. I'm sure getting the feedback from the community is also a way to share wins. I mean, actually the impact you're making, not just in the inside, you know what I mean, how you're all helping each other, but how you're actually affecting the community around you. How do you share those kinds of big wins or milestones?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that we hear about these stories. For instance, this year, we placed a teacher that was living in her car into an apartment, and one of our partners also donated furniture, and we went over there and we interviewed her and we took pictures, and we got to see firsthand the impact that this organization does for people. And for a lot of people, it's life-changing. You don't, and hearing that always revitalizes, like, oh yeah, that's why I'm here. Like that, because
Yeah.
work gets tough no matter where you work, for profit,
Mhm.
nonprofit, whatever. Everyone wears a lot of hats. Everyone works usually a little bit more than not. And, looking at those intrinsic rewards that we see through the work we do in the community is, I think, a reminder to everyone, including myself, like, oh yeah, this is why I'm here.
Yeah. And you guys have also really leveraged the power of video in sharing those stories, not only with your donors, but also within your organization or at your big galas and stuff.
We do. And I have to say, so every year we have smaller videos that we'll do sometimes throughout the year, just for social media and things like that. But our large video that we work on all year long is for our gala event in September. And I'll tell you what, I've done two of galas now at HIF, and it's a long program. It's 3-course meal, it's speeches, it's awards, it's fun to need. And this year was 800 people. It's a lot of people.
Wow.
And it's a lot of people to like keep focused. And I tell you what, you could hear a pin drop when the video goes off, because now you're putting a face and a story with the work that we're doing. And, it strategically comes for fund to need, because look, these are the people that you're helping.
Yeah, there's
You
no.
know, but that's the visual of video is really impactful, because you can sit there and you can tell people, oh, I'm helping so and so, but when you sit there and you watch somebody say it from their own mouth, how much they've changed. Like one of the gals finally being in stable housing and not as stressed, she also lost like an insane amount of, I don't know, 75 pounds or something. She got her life together and she was so proud of it. She wanted to share that with everyone. And you're like, yes, rock on, girl. Like, I'm so happy that, this program helped you get on your feet in more ways than just a shorter commute or saving on your rent. Like, it helped like her
Transform.
whole, yeah. Correct. So when we get to see those and we get to share those with people, it's incredibly rewarding. And that's when people realize, I think video, when you can hear things and you can read things, but when you see things, it's really impactful.
It's very impactful. Awesome. Well, time has flown by, but before we wrap, is there any other advice or takeaways that you would like to share?
I really believe fostering open communication is extremely important, no matter where you are in your organization, no matter who you're talking to. You have to be the person that you preach. You can't say you want one thing and then do another. I think that's just really important. And I think most importantly is, we're working with humans, right? And we can have all these processes and policies set into place that are black and white, that are there to, help everyone, right? But you have to remember that when you're working with humans, there is a gray area, and know your audience and learn the people you're working with. And that's probably my little takeaway.
Excellent. Well, Barbie, I appreciate you and I appreciate the work you're doing for our community. And thank you for being a guest on our podcast.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.